Yeah, I just realized that Spilo had like an interview thing. Where can I watch that?
Looking into all of the design areas within that pillar. That's heroes, that's maps, like planning out the next 6 months of Overwatch.
Did he just say
like, what
6?
is that going to look like? Like, what is it going to look like in the next year? What are we going to do? What are some of the bigger moments from a design standpoint that we can introduce into the game? So it's been great working with a lot more of these teams and just branching out a little bit more, working closely with a lot of really talented people, and still very close to the hero design team. That's probably the group I spend the most time with, and we're still cooking a bunch of awesome stuff coming next few hero releases. So
yeah, looking forward to it. So for those of you who don't know, before working on Overwatch, you worked on the Hearthstone team over at Blizzard, and then made the transfer over to gameplay. And I remember reading about it. I gotta blame Alec Dawson for the apprehension initially. Like, oh man, this guy doesn't know anything. Garbage he just knows card games. So your lack of first-person shooter experience definitely led to some initial criticism. But overall, I think you've been pretty well received, especially considering the difficulty of the position that you were put in.
Do they actually say anything of substance, or they yap a lot?
Like whenever you join a new team, new environment, it's like you come over and you're like, okay, what can I do best? Like, how can I best serve this team? And what skills that I bring is going to be best here, right? So I think a lot of that early on was just looking at, okay, how can we spread awareness of like what the hero design team is doing, communicate better within our teams, work a lot with Kenny Hudson, our producer, to make sure like we're getting our process like more formalized, and then talking more about like the philosophies that we have, like going into the future, like how we're going to build things.
No, Americans are really good at just yapping and not saying anything. It's quite a talent, actually. That's not true. I always say important things. When talking with a developer or somebody that works in corporations, it's always like, so how do you feel about Kiriko? So Kiriko started off as a passion project of ours, and honestly I just love the design so much. It's just a really fun character to play and really pays off when you have good aim, and hitting those abilities feels really damn good. Now I do realize that a lot of her abilities do a lot of things, but I think it's a part of her kit overall. Thank you so much. Hey, it's Dale. And overall, across the board, Kiriko is, I feel like, a balanced character. It just keeps yapping about Kiriko for 15 minutes without actually saying anything.
Push a little bit, we can agree. And then
when you hit those headshots, it's really satisfying. So I feel like that design element is one of our biggest successes. Exactly.
Version of that
I actually just hate.
And she took a nerf, right? Like,
all of these developers are really cool people, but it's really hard to find the person among the corpo. Okay, watch this. I'm telling you, it is amazing what they can do, developers. Spilo asks a clear question. What puts a map under the microscope? What makes you focus on a map than other maps? And it's like this, he will say something like, oh, so basically, map design is a very complicated subject, and it's really hard to differentiate which maps need to be looked at, because certain people, and he's gonna yap about it for 20 minutes. It's not on him, it's just the culture.
We understand where some of the pain points are. Some of our philosophies of how we actually build out levels are a little bit different. Like, there's some older maps that just have these really...
He doesn't answer the question. I hate these interviews. I always hated them. They never answer the questions. It's a simple question. What makes you focus on maps? So, maps. There's a lot of things. We do surveys, this and this. Just say, we look at this stat right here. It says map bad. Or, for example, we play the map, it sucked. We go change it.
Really brutal choke points, right? And, a lot of the newer maps are a bit more breathable.
And it always feels like they're saying something of substance, but it's never anything of substance.
There's something that's a little bit looser. There's a lot more flank routes, things like that. We want to make sure like we open up some of those old maps to allow you to have better approaches, right? And that's something we're doing.
I'm going to answer the question for him. It is quite literally, if a map has one approach to deal with a choke point, it's a bad map. For example, Junkertown first point was really bad because you had no cover and there's only one way to approach it. Snipe the other snipers. You couldn't dive them, you couldn't rush them, you couldn't do anything. It was very monotonous and boring. That's why 2CP was really boring, because there's one way to approach most choke points. Maps like Gibraltar first was okay. Second point was really annoying. They changed that. Actually, they've done a lot of good work changing up the maps in a really good way. But like, so far, we still have Havana, which first point is and third point are horrendous, because on third point, there is no room for creativity to deal with the enemy team. There's one choke point. You can't go right side. It is a horrible way to go. You can't go left side either. You have to go main, and you have to hope their snipers don't pick you off, or you kill their snipers. And it's such a miserable experience. First point is the same thing. There's so big of a distance between you and the enemy snipers and DPS. You can't do anything other than kill the snipers with your snipers. The tank feels useless. So these maps, horrible. Havana is horrible. Projectile was kind of fixed. Coliseo was kind of fixed. I'm actually thinking about other maps that I really, really dislike right now. We have Havana, Junkertown. Circuit Royale, I really dislike as well. Third point and first point and second point, all of the points feel the same way as Havana, because there's one way to approach, there's one choke point, there's one path, there's no variety, you can't flank, there's no weaknesses for the snipers. If the snipers are good, you lose the game, and as a tank player, as a support player, it's meaningless. So if you queue up and you're playing against 2 Overwatch League players, you lose the game, you can't do anything. On other maps, I'll give you an example. If you're playing Dorado, you can always dive the snipers, you can always go underneath. There's so many ways to approach. Basically, I think Circuit needs to be looked at, and I think Havana needs to be looked at, because these maps are so boring to play.
In the Season 13 map rework cycle, where there's going to be a variety of maps that are getting like more access to different
pathways, you don't get
right?
it. Sure.
So those are some of the things we utilize to make sure that we are.
Dorado isn't bad map. Midtown, I don't remember what Midtown was. I don't remember the new map
It's just like community feedback, some of the survey stuff, some of the things that we just want to bring some of our new design philosophies forward to some of the older maps too.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Do you feel like you applied any of those with the Runasapi?
Runasapi in particular is a lot of learnings. I think there's certain things with run back times that are polished compared to how they were previously. There's a lot more direct, simple pathways to get back into the fights.
What did Alec Dawson just say? Shut up. Okay, go fuck yourselves. Fuck you. Fuck this stream. I'm fucking ending this. Go fuck yourselves. How do I? Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it. Why is this thing so fucking slow? And move faster. It's a lot less dramatic. Either way, I have no idea what Alec Dawson just said. Borer with low taper fade.
Because it's really.
As I said, while I was muted, I like Alec. I like the dev team. It's just corporate talk, and they're just forced to do this, and it's super annoying. Either way, I need to be right back. Have fun.
We loved how it went, actually. I think throughout their whole launch period, they were like a top 3 DPS.
That's stupid, and it's wrong, and they're full of shit. Venture came out, instantly nerfed, instantly became shit. Nobody played Venture. This is why I hate this. They look at statistics. Now Venture's really good, but they look at stats. Overall, I feel like Blizzard never thinks statistics are really good, but also statistics are really useless a lot of the time, because statistics don't show you the real picture. Because why was Venture picked so often at the beginning? Because Venture was a new character and everyone wanted to play them. Does that mean Venture was broken in the beginning? No, it didn't. And why did Venture have high win rate? Maybe, for example, it is maybe because nobody knew what to do against Venture. So instead of waiting some time and figuring out what the stats mean, they're just saying, oh my god, the statistics, they say Venture's broken, we need to instantly nerf them. And I was like, kind of killed off the hype. They just look at the stats. I feel like they look at them and the stats just say, nerf Venture. And it's like, okay. And it's like, why we nerf Venture? Because of what? Because everyone's picking Venture? Of course everyone's gonna pick Venture.
Being clear of our community, like,
if you're in danger, please blink. Let's see, if Alec blinks during this entire interview at any point, he's in danger.
They didn't have like the fondest, or like, why are you nerfing Venture? Venture's so much fun. It was like, well, Venture's really, really strong, and you had this response.
Bullshit. Why did we nerf Venture? I'm a Venture apologist.
Responsibility to try to get things into like a certain range, but at the same time, I think we could have maybe let that go.
He blurred the background because there's Blizzard snipers looking at him right now. There is, like, you see this is the sniper rifle right here, just looking straight up. They leak something, boom, instantly dies on stream.
Slightly longer, and then with new heroes.
Why do you think I wasn't streaming
launching, yesterday? And I think that's been really good, and that was something after Lifeweaver that's really helped out with
Lifeweaver mentioned. What is he gonna say about Lifeweaver? Whoa, Lifeweaver. Whoa. I wonder why they launched the character in such a horrid state, and then they kept him like that. I swear they were watching me for their own amusement.
Get them into a much better spot.
Staying meta, Baptiste, Kiriko, Lucio.
How is she good? She doesn't even have crit hit.
Higher skill ceilings.
What?
And that's normal for a lot of games, right? But I think one of the problems is that a lot of the lower skill, at least perceived lower skill supports, is that they just don't have competitive utility. Is that something that you're looking to address with future support characters? Is that something?
Are you ready, guys, for the double speak? It's gonna be like, we feel like a lot of these characters have quite a decent win rate across the board, and maybe in some situations they require some little buffs. And actually, I really like watching Bower. He's really cool, and I prime sum to him for the last 2 years.
Niche is just a bit more
watch this
and more unique.
Right.
Watch this.
Right.
So I think like some of those changes were geared like work behind the scenes, like trying to think of utility for Moira and play with utility for Moira.
Yeah.
But it all kind of distracted from like the main gameplay loop that, you know, people kind of love and they've attached to. So
does everyone okay, I have a thing when I listen to Blizzard or like game developers talk, I always zone out super hard. Did he just say they want to buff Moira? I think they shouldn't touch Moira.
And so a lot of the projectile characters struggle to compete because they're
some characters like Moira, Junkrat, Reaper, Roadhog just need to Orisa just need to stay in the gutter. They never they can always be okay, but they can never be good because these characters just suck when they're good. Don't touch Moira. Just leave her be.
Ones aren't always as effective. Are projectile
Symmetra.
heroes, I guess, not necessarily specifically, but are some projectile heroes on that list of characters that you guys are going to continue to look at?
Is there a character that is hit scan and projectile at the same time? That would be cool DPS design, no? A DPS character that shoots hit scan and projectile. Anna. Sojourn. But Sojourn is not really it. I meant like more like shoot bombs and also shoot like hit scan. Same as laser. Bab heals. I mean kill stuff. I mean like a DPS character can shoot like bombs or something and also, you know.
3 weeks has like tripled her play rate, you know? So people are finally like latching onto the rework and everything. So
I think people are playing Pharah because of pro play, because in pro play they play a lot of Pharah now.
I do think there's a little bit to be done for some of them.
There's this thing where they like actually everything just is based around pro play. Like if pro play starts playing Junkrat Bastion, everyone's gonna start playing Junkrat Bastion.
Like to bring some characters that are a bit more, you know, squirrely to 225 and seeing how that goes. And, you know, it does benefit Hanzo at that point. He becomes a character that can actually be very, very effective against some of those characters. But I think he's on our list right now of, you know, what's his identity going to be in the
I don't understand the Hanzo discussion. It is so annoying because just buff the poor guy. Let him one-shot. Who the fuck cares, bro? Hanzo is not a good character. He's never been a good character. Just let the fucking guy one-shot. Just let him do 250 damage or whatever the fuck. Like, just nerf some other aspect about him. The only fun factor about Hanzo, even though it was annoying, was the fact that he could one-shot. He was never broken because of it, but it felt good to one-shot people across the map sometimes. Yeah, it felt bullshit. Yeah, it felt unlucky, but it's the character. That's it, bro. That's the character. You can't take away the one-shot and keep buffing other aspects. You just kill the entire community and the streamers and everyone else, because I personally sometimes enjoyed going Hanzo and just one-shotting people with my brain off. And to be fair, there's some people that are really good at Hanzo, and it shows when they're good at Hanzo. So I would rather have Hanzo one-shot people and nerf his Storm Arrow or something else than buff his Storm Arrow and just keep his one-shot away, because it doesn't feel good to shoot once and then twice to maybe kill something. It felt really good watching Argy, for example, to just one-shot people across the map. I don't understand this discussion. I don't understand why is this even a thing? Why is it, what are they pondering their orbs about? They're gonna keep changing stuff. People are gonna keep hating on it. Just bring back the one-shot. Reduce the firing speed. Add fall of damage. I don't know. I don't care. Just bring back the one-shot. I sometimes want to click on Argy's stream and watch him one-shot people across the map. It felt good. It felt good to turn on go on DPS, pick Hanzo and one-shot people. There's no reason to pick Hanzo anymore. It just sucks. Let them complain about one-shot. People are still gonna complain about one-shot no matter what. Let them just fucking complain. I don't care. I just want Hanzo. Like, I wouldn't mind if they removed every other ability on Hanzo except the leap and the one-shot. And that's it. I wouldn't care, because that is the core of the character. If this character can't one-shot, what is the point of playing this character? It just feels wrong. Just make him guy with bow and arrow, and that's it. Remove everything else. And it will still feel good, because that is the point of this character.
Future, and we're working on him.
They're gonna give him 20 million viewers, 20 million buffs. They're gonna ignore why people like the character in the first place, and everyone's gonna be miserable. Why? What is the point? And then they're gonna bring back the one-shot anyways. I don't understand why they're avoiding it. Why they're so scared to with the one-shot. Why can characters like Sojourn one-shot for so long, they finally nerfed it, but Hanzo can't one-shot? It's the same thing with CC. They just kept nerfing CC, kept removing CC, and then they gave us Magnetic Grenade, and nobody asked for Magnetic Grenade. Just give the poor guy his one-shot back. Cut off his legs if you have to. Just give him the one-shot. Put him in a wheelchair.
Lower skill heroes, you know, tend to be, more consistent.
Why did he put lower skill heroes in quotation marks? Moira, Torbjorn, Roadhog or Bastion are lower skilled heroes. Full stop. There's nothing else to it. There's no quotation marks. These characters.
Place where he plays really well in like a highly.
No, he's not. No, he's not an interesting place. Get Mauga. Blow his brains out. There is no interesting place he's in. Nobody likes this character. He's sometimes fun. But I feel like they don't understand why this character is fun. It's not fun to shoot the enemy tank. It's kind of fun to shoot left and then right click and like aim a bit across the map and try to snipe the backline and put people on fire and then play around the fire mechanic. And his cage is kind of fun to play around. It's not fun because they keep not understanding why it's fun to play Mauga, and they keep changing everything to be around him shooting tank. I don't want to shoot tank. Shooting tank boring. Shoot tank boring. I don't want to shoot tank. I want to shoot other stuff. I want to aim. It's kind of fun to track people across the map, but this is
coordinated environment.
I remember talking about this with you in LA, and you said everything's okay to be meta occasionally. The variety itself is.
I have a theory, guys. Are you listening to me? I have a theory that every single character will be meta at some point. There will be a Torbjorn meta. There will be a shut the fuck up. Stop typing 1. Type yes. You're not supposed to go against me. So I feel like every single character will be meta at some point. And when they're meta, there will be a Life Weaver meta. I can guarantee you. It is just inevitable that there will be a Life Weaver meta. At some point, they'll nerf Kirikou to the ground. They'll nerf Lari. And they'll buff Life Weaver. And they'll be outside of their calculations. And then things are going to go crazy. It will happen. And I'll be waiting. The Twink meta. But like, I agree with Alec. It's okay to have metas. It's not okay to have a meta last for too long. And this is one of my main grievances with high ranked. And why high ranked is so boring outside of waiting 30 minutes for Q. It's because I wait 30 minutes for Q just to play the same character and play against the same characters all the time. But it is under 1 percentile. It's a lot more chill in lower ranks. In lower ranks, there is no meta. Every game is completely different. Except Mercy. Everyone plays Mercy all the time.
Some things that still remain is that the guy still dies to CC and he has no way of counterplaying it. And if you don't have CC...
Okay. Here's my 2 cents. And I've said it multiple times. The way Blizzard has been designing tanks fucking sucks. Purely because tanks are supposed to have utility, create space, and do whatever else. Nowadays, tanks just do a lot of damage. And it's so annoying because they have no utility. And what happens is that they just die to CC. You can have 2 CC in the entire game. As long as people can pick them, they will destroy you. Because one of the reasons why Winston is so good in pro play, and is so fun to play, and why Reinhardt is so good, is because both of these guys have utility. Winston can place bubble to deal with CC. Hacks, stuns, nades, sleeps, whatever else. And Reinhardt can shield. Reinhardt is really bad though, because Reinhardt needs to get close. Winston can jump. That's why Winston is so good in pro play. Same with Sigma. Sigma is so good because he has ways to deal with CC. He has his shield and he has his grasp. He has utility. Queen, Ramatra, Mauga, Bo, Roadhog fucking suck sometimes. Because if you are playing ranked on RAM and the enemy team decides to ruin your day will be ruined. And you can't do anything about it. Because Ramatra has no utility. He has 1 shield in one of his forms and it's super annoying because it's not a good way to deal with CC. Mauga, the only way they can balance Mauga is either you do too much damage so you kill them before they CC you, or you're so unkillable that it doesn't matter if they CC you. Roadhog, you kill them before they CC you. Bo, you just keep running around. And Queen, you kill them before they CC you. So all their issues, this issue of tanks dying to CC has been counterplayed by letting tanks one-shot, at which point tanks just become big DPS machines that have 500 HP. And that's annoying, and I hate the design. And instead of actually making tanks have some utility, they keep buffing their HP, they keep buffing their knockback resistance, they keep buffing their damage output. And it's okay to have some tanks that are like DPS, but it's just so annoying because, for example, with Bo's thing, is that Bo just keeps running around, and no matter if you have 2000 HP, you still die to a Somber Hack and stun. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because Casty stun also exists. We need more utility-based tanks instead of DPS-based tanks. We need more tanks that can create space and dodge abilities. Well, Orisa doesn't fall into the category because Orisa has spin and fortify, but Orisa, it doesn't do anything right now. But she does have some utility. But all of the meta tanks, a lot of them are like really good solo queue tanks, feel really bad to play because it's just no utility to it. That's why Sigma right now is really good. I just wish they gave more tanks more utility. I wish they reduced the amount of damage tanks do. the amount of HP they have, but give them more utility. So instead of you just tanking all of the damage, you had the option which damage to tank and how to deal with the damage and the CC. Because Winston feels really good because you can choose which cooldowns to deal with when you place your bubble. But when you're playing Ramatra or Roadhog or even Reinhardt, because Reinhardt is whatever, or because he just dies instantly across the map, it's very hard to choose because you just die a lot of the times. You either clear the enemy lobby because they refuse to CC you, or they kill you every fight and you can't do anything. So I feel like it's a really backwards approach where instead of actually focusing to give options to tank players to deal with problems, they instead force an option on the tank, give them HP, reduce knockback, reduce damage they take, and they still don't feel like they're having fun because the issue wasn't how fast they die. The issue was that they didn't have any agency in the matter. If the enemy team chooses for you to die, you die. Sorry about the rant, but that is my opinion on tanks. I feel like tanks are supposed to be less DPS machines and just more like things that can deal with problems, not kill problems. He's
basically almost unkillable. He doesn't have a head hitbox half the time and so on.
And also, I'm sorry for pausing again, this creates another issue. Where if the enemy team isn't running CC, if the enemy team isn't running high burst damage, you become an unkillable machine. But this issue gets self-solved the moment when you reduce their HP and damage output and instead give them utility. So the utility can be used to deal with stuff that is super annoying. And if you misplace your utility, you just die.
Make it harder for CC to be effective on tanks.
Okay, here's a fun idea. When Bo uses his adaptive shields, you reduce the amount of shields he gets, but for 1 second, he's immune to CC or he cleanses. I don't know which one is a better idea. But the idea is, you can also increase the cooldown, I don't care. But the idea is to give some agency to the ball player to deal with annoying stuff. And if you time it correctly, you can dodge a lot of CC that might kill you. Make ball less tanky, give him an ability that allows him to deal with it. Like a little bubble.
Pretty broad measures of like survivability. Looking at the cast overall, and we'll get like how it went from like season 8 to season 9. And like
Fortified ball. It's not about... If you have a 15-second cooldown on an ability that gives you a little bubble and shields, it would be a lot better than having a bow that has 2000 HP running around the map and you're forced to play Sombra. Because this way, you don't have to swap Sombra to counter bow. And even if you do, you might still not get value. And it allows the bow player to have some agency. I don't think it's a bad idea.
What is your approach to hero design? Has that changed over the course of like the last year and a half?
Yeah, I think players...
Have you noticed how Spilo puts his hair in the front like this? It is probably because his hairline is receding and he's balding. So he's trying to hide it by putting his hair. Unlike a Gear Chat like me that has his hair pulled back at all times to showcase my pure and beautiful hairline.
Counters, you know? I think a lot of the older designs certainly lead to like very hard counters, right?
Yes.
At the same time, I do think we've made
I think it's an aura difference right here. I think it's just an aura differential because I have nothing to hide, but Spilo clearly has something to hide.
Safe designs. I think there's some heroes that we've made, you know, that have just been almost too well-rounded. They kind of do what.
Can you trust this man?
You know, it's this mobility as well. That's kind of
can't wait for when you start bowling and do the same. I'll let you know that not a single member of the male genome from my mother's line, where the bold genetic composition lies, it has receding hairline. My brother is almost 40, perfect hairline. My grandpa has beautiful golden locks. Okay, so I have no fucking... What do you mean not yet, bro? My grandpa is like one step into fucking death's doorway and you say not yet. Okay, maybe he doesn't have golden locks, but you get the idea. Nobody's balding here. I might get karmic justice, but for now we're chilling.
But we had this, you know, we have our different goals for each role, and one of the ones we had at the beginning of our...
But the moment I start balding, I'm cutting off all of my hair and going full bald. There's not even a chance of me hiding my hairline, okay? I am cutting it all off. I'm not gonna be one of those men that sits there and hides their balding hairline. I will embrace it, and I'll fucking shave it all.
Yeah, I think it just became this, I think when we look at sort of the...
I might be stupid, and I am, but I don't think there's any philosophy in a lot of the new characters. I feel like a lot of the new characters are like, make character shoot good. If shoot good, good character. You know what I mean? I like the character. I think they're really fun to play. I think they're annoying to play against though, because I feel like Kiriko is a well-rounded character with no weaknesses. Sojourn is a well-rounded character with no weaknesses. They're really fun to play. I genuinely think they're extremely fun to play. Playing Kiriko and Sojourn, really good. Queen is really good to play. Ramatra can feel really good to play. What is the design philosophy behind this? What is the point of these characters? What are you trying to achieve with these characters? I feel like with Lifeweaver, they took more of a risk. They decided to make a character more akin to Mercy, but I don't feel like they tried to do that when making stuff like Ramatra. Tempo Tank. What is Tempo Tank? Remember the Tempo Tank shenanigans? What is the point of Ramatra? For example, right? I feel like every tank is a brawl tank. There's no every tank they release is a tank that is a brawl tank. Queen gets value close up. Ramatra gets value close up. Mauga gets value close up. There's nothing to it, right? I feel like if they had another character like that, I might go crazy. I think it's also one of the reasons why Reinhardt is so obscure. Is because when every single other character does Reinhardt's job, why would you play Reinhardt, right? Because Mauga is good up close, and he has an aura that buffs people around him. Ramatra has to be up close to punch people, and Queen has to be up close as well. So what is the point? They haven't had a single character that can jump around the map or create space like Winston. I feel like they've forgotten that design philosophy. There's nothing to it. Every tank is a rush tank. And if we look at DPS, we've had Sojourn. Have we had only Sojourn in Venture? I think so. So maybe I don't feel like we have enough data there. But Sojourn is just a character that runs around, has a dash, deals a lot of damage. Her ult is really good. Insta-kills everything. She did get nerfed. Venture feels a little bit more different. So I can't judge them on the DPS aspect. And with support, Lari is supposed to be a character that is strong by herself, that heals and damages people and is really scary and has a strong offensive ult. And then Kiriko is the same thing. Right? So only difference is Lifeweaver, where they experiment a lot more. And honestly, I really like the fact that they experiment. I wish they did more experimentation. I think we've had enough of DPS support characters that are just strong by themselves. I feel like we need more Lifeweavers in the game. I'm not talking about characters that suck. I mean like characters that provide a lot more utility to the team instead of just DPSing stuff. I feel like of the reasons why the game feels so boring and dull is because every character is just the DPS character. So I feel like we should leave the DPSing to the DPS, and we should allow supports and tanks to deal damage and stuff, but it shouldn't be the main focus, right? So like Ana, for example. Ana is a good example of a really good support character that can DPS and kill stuff, but it's really difficult because you need to choose if you want to heal or shoot. You want to choose if you want to use your abilities aggressively or not. So I feel like we need more of that. We need a lot less of characters that just shoot and get value. Meanwhile, the healing is just done by itself. And a lot more characters that have a lot of utility that gives you the option between DPS, kill stuff, or heal and support your team and enable somebody else in your team. Because Lari doesn't have the ability to enable somebody in her team. She just has the ability to enable herself.
Dynamic between the roles. Support should still be able to they still be able to deal damage, still be able to defend themselves, but they got too good at it, we think, right? There's too much survivability baked into it after you would get to, part of the goal is like getting...
Honestly, Overwatch devs need the community to take the wheel for a bit. Do not let the community touch this game, because the community is fucking stupid, okay? I will fight tooth and nail to keep this game away from the community. There are no dumber people than the community, because it will be the most horrible... If people think that the community can fix this game, I think the people are cooked. Don't even dare touching this game. I would sit in front of Blizzard HQ and beat the shit out of anyone that approaches their offices and isn't a Blizzard employee. I am not letting fucking George, that has been playing Call of Duty for 6 years and just started playing Overwatch, to balance the game around his vision.
And we look at things like Zen Kick and like how good that was. That's like a get off me as well.
I hate Zen Kick. I don't know why they added Zen Kick. I want to cut off Zenyatta's legs.
It's also about like
finding
where like feedback is.
I actually asked the Zarya voice actress why she says Fiskut Privet, because I speak Russian and nobody says that, and she said it's based on the word Fiskultur, which is sports in high school, and I was like, okay, all right.
Distant in terms of you know, it's kind of like this thing that like
I was
trust where it's coming from. Does it have a viewpoint? You know, does it criticize you when you make mistakes? Is it also like, well, that's what I kind of personally look for, is like, okay, like I can
it's
like,
not
kind
a
of
pun.
trust
It's a stupid thing. I'll be honest.
From.
It's so stupid.
I know how they feel.
And mirror watch, but there's just been a lot of like felt like very, very aggressive patches, a lot of very aggressive experiments.
Oh my god, it makes no. I just realized why we say fizkultura. We also say fizkultura in Bulgarian. It's physical culture. And I just realized that fizkultura. Actually, Zara's VAs, a lot of people said that she has an accent, doesn't seem natural. It's a lot less about Zara's VA. It's a lot more about the Americans enforcing a certain way for her to speak, because she grew up, I'm pretty sure, I don't remember if she studied, I think she studied in Russia. She speaks Russian, basically. I don't remember if it was in Russia or Belarus, but she's a fluent Russian speaker. So I feel like it's a lot less about, you know, I'm sorry that it's off topic. It's a lot less about her, and I feel like, please speak English, by the way. I just don't speak Russian in chat. But it's a lot less about her having an accent and not saying correctly stuff. It's a lot more about, you know, I feel like Blizzard enforcing a certain idea of how a character is supposed to sound.
Open to taking risks and then seemingly doing a good job at dialing back when those risks failed. Is this a conscious decision for you guys? Was this a philosophical change?
A lot of people cook Blizzard for a lot of stuff, but I feel like Blizzard has been taking a lot more risks and dialing back, and I think it's good. So I think you can talk shit about Blizzard for many things and the game being boring or whatever, but at least they do stuff and they've dialed back quickly compared to Overwatch 1.
Sure.
I think over time,
risks adding and removing 25 HP to Sim. That's not true though. You can talk shit about Blizzard all you want, but they do take risks and they do revert the risks when things don't. When they released Mauga and he was absolutely broken, they instantly nerfed him. They released Venture, they didn't like the stats, they instantly nerfed. They keep adding stuff and keep changing them quickly. I don't mind talking shit about Blizzard. I love talking shit about Blizzard. I don't like when people talk shit about Blizzard about something that they are actively doing a good job at.
Yeah, I mean, one of the ways to come about stage is we talk about the goals, you know, for the next patch. I think right now we're looking at doing a bigger tank patch. And it's like, okay, this is going to be the goals of this patch to get tanks into a place we think that they're feeling a bit.
I say Spilo because it's a more, first it's funny, second of all it's a it sounds stupid, but it's a more European way to say it, and third of all, I always thought he's Dutch. I for the longest time I didn't realize he's American, so I just kept saying Spilo. So I don't know, I just think it's funny.
Metas are very how do I say this in a way, it's like they're not necessarily like static, right? They're not these things that are like set in stone. It's actually kind of like this, it's very social things about like how people play in an environment. Like metas are very different from region to region, you know.
Actually true. Have you noticed how in Asia it's just Winston meta for the last fucking 8 years? America just does their own thing. I think they play Roadhogs and weird shit. I don't know what America does. And then EU is just Russian Sigma. It's just so weird.
Korea plays a lot more Ana, and
also Korea just plays Ana all the time. It's actually insane.
On Ana as well. Hey, what do this large group of people latch onto, and then what do they start playing more and more and more so they get better at the thing? It's not that this is actually the
okay. Here's a little thing I have. I think metas are a psyop. I firmly believe that metas are an absolute psyop. It is not real. None of it is real. It is not real. None of it is real. I'm not crazy. You can't tell me that certain characters are best and most meta. Like, okay, some characters are. I don't disagree with that. But like, why do other regions play different stuff if there's a clearly defined character meta composition that is better than everything else? Aren't they trying to win? They are. But why are they playing a different thing and it works against certain things? Because I purely believe it's just a psyop. It is a psyop. It is an absolute psyop. Nobody played Pharah. Nobody played Pharah before the pro Overwatch CS thing happened and everyone played Pharah. And now everyone plays Pharah. Nothing changed about Pharah. But they saw that other people play Pharah. The cool people play Pharah. And they're like, oh god, now I'm gonna play Pharah. The same thing was with Goats. Nobody played Goats. Nobody played 4 tanks. And then one day, they saw one team playing Goats and 4 tanks, and they're like, oh, okay, this is the meta now. Let's fucking scrim it. And then people get progressively more like psyoped into believing that this comp is meta, and if anyone tries something else, they instantly get bullied and harassed in pro play. I've seen this happen for having any other idea and called stupid. The same thing was with Goats. people played GOATs, there was just a bunch of Europeans that were like, oh, this is meta. And everyone else was like, no, it's not meta. And then everyone was like, oh, actually, it is meta. And I'm going to show you. And then they lost. America lost. If America had lost won against GOATs, what would have happened was probably would have never had GOATs meta. Because they're going to be like, oh, they lost. Oh, the GOATs comp lost. So GOATs isn't good. It's a lot about just looking at what cool people play and then integrating what cool people play and then refusing to swap and experiment. And then eventually, because of that, everyone forgets how to play different stuff until somebody decides that, hey, let's change up the meta now. Let's play fucking Sigma today. That is the meta. I've decided that this is meta. I'm not crazy, am I? And now everyone plays Sigma. And everyone's like, okay, you can't play anything else. You need to play Sigma because fucking Space Station is playing Sigma, so everyone else is playing Sigma now. Is Sigma really that good? And sometimes the meta just changes without any change. A season could go on, there could be zero balance, and then boom, fucking Reinhardt is meta. Why is he meta? What changed? What changed? Nobody figured out how to play Reinhardt better. People have been playing Reinhardt for 10 years. It's just one day they decide, oh, you know what? We're gonna play Reinhardt meta now. Either way, sorry.
Configuration. Like you could do a balance patch 3 times, and you may end up with like slightly different results based on like how the players, what they latch onto first.
To match the opinion of the higher ranked player.
Second opinion. If you follow metas in overbuff or statistics and you're below fucking GM, I think you're stupid and wasting your time. You could play Symmetra all the way to fucking champion if you want to. It doesn't matter what character you play in lower elo, just play whatever you're comfortable with and win games and climb. Actually, I feel like it's a lot better to play weird stuff than to play meta because people don't know what to do against the weird stuff.
There's been a lot of criticism around passives, whether it's the DPS passive, crucially a lot of the tank passive changes about whether it's balanced, whether it feels good, whether it's necessary, whether how it should be incorporated. I assume this is something that you guys are aware of.
Okay, I know I sound like a crazy old man, but I feel like skill trees could fit, like with some abilities in game. You could change it, but the games are a little bit too short, so maybe not. We'll see. But I feel like it could fit the game. It also adds a lot of, dynamic to the game. It would also help you deal with, like if you play Winston and you see the enemy team plays a lot of counter stuff, the longer the game progresses, maybe you could pick a talent that will help you against a lot of Reaper, Bastion, Roadhog. So maybe too much cooking.
One of the big reasons they're there is that we like having some consistent behavior.
Okay, I'm sorry. Imagine you get a small talent after each point capture, like full point capture. So if you're playing controls, like fucking Lijiang, for example, if you fully cap and earn 1 point, everyone gets 1 point. And then they cap, everyone gets, and then you can go up to 2, right? And then if you play Flashpoint, because the game is longer, maybe you get more points, or maybe you get 2 points, or maybe something else, or something you can balance it around. And for example, on hybrid, cap first point, cap second point, cap third point, boom, maybe you could reset on halftime, right? So it also would keep the game more interesting. I don't know. Maybe I'm
across a role, so you understand.
I haven't seen the Apex
engagement
things.
I do think there's some things we want to tune a little bit.
And you could press tab to see what talents people have picked and then hover over them. Either way, there's a lot of things you could implement it, but I don't know if it's a good idea.
With the passes, but
I think everyone should get a point, because if only the attackers get a point, then they're gonna snowball. But if every time the game undergoes a big change, everybody gets a talent, it could stabilize the game.
Yeah.
Right, like a Winston might benefit from the reduced crit, but that doesn't make... I don't feel enjoyment out of benefiting from that, right? Okay,
yeah,
that's
totally
good to know. That's good to know.
Yeah, so I think it'll be kind of like a dual approach, because there's still some things we want to tune with those, but we have to make sure that there's changes for those heroes as an individual hero that allow them to feel better.
That's really, really good to hear. I think a lot of people are going to be very happy to hear that. We talked about this earlier with terms of the CC.
6v6ers are coming out. I can feel them. They're tickling my feet right now. Oh, God.
With Wrecking Ball, I think the psychology...
This interview doesn't feel really genuine, since Alec knows the questions. Every single interview like this, the devs know the questions beforehand. That's why it never feels genuine, because Blizzard needs to prepare, and they need to be careful what they answer, because they can't leak anything. And if they leak something, they're going to be in big trouble. And there's a lot of cogs in the machine, right? There's a lot of... Blizzard is a big corporation, and they care at the end of the day about themselves. Like, I leaked that one season. It never happened. Mods, shoot Rissicat. I never leaked anything. But it's more about asking questions. But at the end of the day, I'll be honest, I've done interviews like this. There aren't many questions that they deny from, you know, they're like outright, okay, we won't do that, right? So I haven't had a question ever be like outright denied. They might on the stream or on recording say, oh, you know, some double speak, and they might ignore it ultimately, but they never outright say, yeah, not this question. I think it's mostly like, it's to avoid really stupid questions. And it's more about also, while you're doing this interview, I don't know if Spilo's interview was live, but they do allow you to ask some silly outside of the script questions as well. So it's not fully scripted, because when I was doing the Roadhog Rework Q&A with, I think it was with Alec again, and I was with Six, we were talking and we were asking questions from chat as well. So to give them credit, it is not fully scripted.
And yet at the same time, we have
SVB's podcast is zero script, all live. Yeah, it's nothing scripted there.
Effective.
What are they talking about? They're talking about something interesting.
And yet at the same time, we have, frankly, Tank is the most effective person on the field. They have the most expansive kits, the largest health pools. I know this is a tricky topic that you got.
To add on to this, one of the reasons why I despise playing tank is because there is so much pressure on you as a tank player to create space, deny space from the enemy, kill stuff, keep your healers alive, PO your DPS, play with your DPS, dive with your DPS. It is so annoying. And every time, you can't be everywhere at once. And people expect you to be everywhere at once. And when you're not everywhere at once, you get trash talked. I get trash talked every game on tank. I can have 50 kills, 2 deaths, and I'm still getting trash talked because I didn't PO my supports. I didn't play in line of sight of my DPS. I didn't do this or didn't do it. It's so fucking annoying. That's why I hate playing tank. I'll start after we're done with this. But that's one of the reasons why I really despise playing tank, especially in high elo. Everyone just expects so much of you, and I just wish it wasn't like that. I wish there was a clearly defined role for tank to follow, because there isn't. It is, you need to kill stuff, you need to create space, you need to shield your DPS, you need to PO your supports, you need to deny value from the enemy team. Sometimes I can't do everything, and if I can't do a few things, we just lose the game. So
guys have in terms of individual balance approach to the solo tank experience.
I get trash talked in flat lobbies sometimes with 50 kills because I didn't pick a shield tank or something.
That's earlier, like our next patch is going to focus on that in particular. Hopefully make that experience even better. But our philosophy is like,
they should add a button for tank players where they can choose one random teammate. Not random, they can choose one teammate that is being really annoying and yappy and just instantly ban them after the game. You choose somebody, if they keep yapping, you get to choose to ban them after the game is over. Like this, you just Thanos snap one person every 10 games. Just like you just, it will feel so good. So people stop yapping. I would legitimately make 20 accounts and go around in top 500 and Thanos snap every single player. I would Thanos snap every single DPS player. It would be so funny.
If you're not feeling satisfied, you're not actually...
No, the button should force the person to play tank instead. I actually agree. You Thanos swap and you force the person to play tank for 2 minutes. That's actually better.
You know, right. The next patch hits pretty well, but that's what we're currently working on. Because
next patch,
we see it.
Tank players do 5% more damage. Thank you, Blizzard Incorporated, for saving the role.
I think the objective there is not to, make them unkillable,
yes.
But just to make sure they have more playmaking ability, more decision making.
You're not going to give every tank a Rissa Fortify.
We'll see.
Okay.
Did you see the way he laughed? Bro, that looks suspicious. It looked like Spilo just guessed it correctly. He just barely laughed and then said, we'll see. Bro, I would lose my mind if they had Fortify to everyone.
No. Okay.
I think it trumps everything else, right?
Yeah, so. Absolutely. That's a tricky one though, because you are, again, it tends to snowball very quickly. We
can't be too reactive at the same time.
Right.
Making the game perfectly balanced makes for a boring game. Just look at chess. Who cares about chess?
We're testing out some, gameplay systems, and this is like a kind of a small look into something bigger we might do in the future of what that may be. Depending.
Picking passives could be a good idea, but I just want them to remove passives altogether, I'll be honest with you. Passives for, what do supports have? Passive self-regen. I don't know. I think everyone has self-regen, right? So I feel like that's good. But I think they should remove all passives, I'll be honest. I don't like passives. I feel like they should instead focus on tanks having their own passives per hero. So something that fits them and makes them a little bit stronger, tankier. Like, for example, I don't mind Reinhardt not being booped a lot, but like, I feel like Queen should be more boopable than Reinhardt, right? So, or like Winston, you can't pick Roadhog against him or something.
Yeah, I mean, kind of outlined some of those like individual things.
Okay.
I'm trying to think what was like, they're not like finalized yet, so I'm trying to think like what was the one that the biggest ones.
Roadhog has like... 4 take a breathers now.
Okay, this is boring now. I'll be honest. Interview was mid. I'll be honest. Spilo is chill and great stuff. Let's get into game.